So now we've gone through some of the questions that you need to be able to ask in order to be able to qualify your leads effectively. How can we ensure that we ask the questions in the right way in order to be able to get the answers that we want back? So the first part of this process is ensuring that we don't just have a set of questions that we ask rigidly without understanding and seeing how the prospect is reacting and responding to those questions. It's really important that you focus on building a rapport and understanding how your prospect is reacting on what they're saying and doing in certain situations. How do they react with their facial gestures or their hand gestures when you ask certain questions? What does their body language say? What is the tone of their voice? How do they react to a certain situation? Being able to build rapport and understand what's happening with your prospect is really important when it comes to using the BANT questions effectively. And keep an eye out for those telltale signs that show that the prospect's either in a difficult position or maybe wants to share more information so that you can probe further and really get to the bottom of what's going on in their mind or what's going on at their company. The second key thing is making sure that you ask the questions using the right tone and with the right gestures in order to get the right results. If I was to ask the question, who's involved in making the decision? I probably, if I was the other side of the chair, would go, I don't want to answer that question because the way it was asked. However, if you were able to adjust the tone of your voice and the way in which you say it so that it really shows the prospect that you're really interested in caring to know about the answer, you'll stand a far better chance of getting the answer you want. Tell me more about who's involved in making the decision in terms of this opportunity. If I ask a question in that way that shows empathy and shows sincerity, I'm far more likely to get a response from the prospect than me being reading off a list of questions and just firing them off one by one to the prospect themselves. How we say something, there was a study shown a number of years ago that the words that we say only amount for 7% of the actual reaction we get from our prospects. The other 93% comes from the way we say it and the way in which our gestures and body language operate. And so we've really got to take that into account alongside this list of great questions that can really help us as salespeople to get to the next stage. If we really want to become experts in asking questions in the right way, we should also look at the questions that we're asking and really see if we can try and emphasize or put extra emphasis on maybe one or two of those words. For example, if I was asking the question, how long has this been a problem for you? I might want to adjust the way in which I say the words long and problem so that I really show to the prospect that I'm concerned about the impact this is having on them and it's a problem that they want to get resolved. So being able to say the words, how long has this been a problem for you, shows that I made a slight increase in my voice on the words long and problem. So I've emphasized to the prospect that actually I understand what they're going through, I understand it's causing them some challenges, and hopefully I've tried in my voice to see and show them that I'm keen to get it resolved. I'm keen to build that human interaction. Use tone on certain questions and highlight certain questions to know which ones are more important in the conversations that you're having. And by doing that and practicing the way in which you ask those questions, you're going to be in a far better chance to really then see what the prospect has to say in response. The best salespeople will look to know the questions, they'll practice them, and they'll have them prepared in their mind, ready to use in the right way at the right time with their prospects. And the results they get back give them incredible information that they can use then to win and secure the business. Another key method in which to build that rapport with your prospect as you're asking them the questions is to repeat some of the answers they give back to you when you're talking to them. For example, if you ask the prospect a question such as, how long has this been an issue for them? And they come back with a response that says, oh, it's been an issue for a few months now. The best response you can maybe give then is to say, oh, a few months. Tell me more about those months and what impact it's had for you. By showing the prospect that you're understanding them, you're repeating back to them what they've said, means you've listened to them, and it helps build trust in you and what you can do. And if you then really are keen to probe even further in those areas and find out what's really going on, it's going to help the prospect build rapport with you and show them that you really care about solving their problem and serving them rather than just trying to sell to them. That brings me on to the next point, which is really important when it comes to asking the BANT questions. When you get a response back that a prospect is given, don't be afraid to keep probing in that area. One of the key skills I say that salespeople have is when a prospect has come back with an answer, don't just move on to the next question in your list, but if you sense there was something there that made you think there's something more there, then probe deeper. So like I mentioned, if the prospect says, yeah, this has been a problem for a few months, Say, hey, a few months, tell me more about what those last few months have been like. You may then get a response back from the prospect that tells you that the last few months have been really challenging and that this has caused them lots of stress. In which case, the best way then is to probe and find out, I'm sorry to hear it's caused you stress, tell me more about that. By getting deeper and understanding the prospect and what's really going on in their world, you're in a far better position as a salesperson to then adjust your solution or use the information to be able to help create a solution that can solve their problem. As I mentioned in the earlier parts of the video series, prospects do buy selfishly. They want their problems resolved and they want to be in a position where by buying a service and solution, it can make them look good. They don't want the stress and the sleepless nights of a particular issue. And if you can be their knight in shining armour and solve that for them by really getting to know what's going on in their world, it's going to be a big factor for you to tick the box and win that customer. One of the other key final ways in which to ask the BANT questions is to make sure that you don't come across in very much an interrogation format. This isn't a police interview where you're literally trying to probe the answers out of the prospect in a way that makes them feel uncomfortable. Our job as salespeople is to make them feel so relaxed and so happy in our company that they're able to share as much information about their company as possible that we can use to then solve their issues and get that business won. Don't make them feel like there's a big spotlight over their head and other people are watching to see what they give back as answers. Make them feel comfortable in sharing the answers with you. Make them feel like they're happy to share what's going on and happy to talk more about that situation, knowing that you can then help move them from that point of pain or where they are from a need perspective to where they want to be and solving that situation. If you do that effectively and ask those questions in the right way, you're going to get quite incredible results, quite incredible information back from your prospects, and I can assure you it's going to help you build a far greater, better picture of your client to be able to win that business with them.